video is brought to you by Letsynthesize Academy, the #1 place for practice-oriented courses for serious music producers.
Hey, Letsyn here, welcome to the newest Synthesize Sunday episode, and today I want to show you how to make minimal drum and bass. Like always, you can download this project from my Patreon, link below, and if you want to learn more about production, check my academy. And now, let's jump into it. Okay, so let's start with the most exciting, at least for me, the most exciting thing, and that is the ride, because it is a sort of synthesized ride. Let me show it to you. Now, originally, this is how the ride sounds. As you can hear, it's an effect sound, but with some nice process, I turn them into a ride sound. So let me break it down for you. First of all, it is an OTT to make it shine really. And then I added a resonator, and this will create a metallic sound. Very nice stuff. Then I focused on one peak frequency. You know, it is on the top end, like right head. So we are almost there. But I wanted to add some, you know, if like a human played those rides. And I use an auto pad to do that. Okay, then I added a delay and some EQ to the end to boost a little on the highs, and the utility tool to add more gain because now it is very quiet. Okay, let's talk about the other drums. It is very minimal. Then I added one percussion sound from my previous Neuro Glitch library. You can reach it here somewhere. It is really just one shot from that. And basically this is the groove. Very minimal stuff. This is why we call it minimal drum and bass. I also added one atmospheric pluck sound, and this is how it sounds. So this is a kind of FM sound with some filtering. So let me break it down for you. As you can see, we are using this FM chain, which means we are FM modulating A, B, C with D. So A is a saw wave and another saw wave on course 4 and a square wave on course 1, and all together they are modulated by a triangle wave on course 1. And take a look on the envelopes, these are important stuff. So without the effects, yeah, it's weird. So let's drop a Yeoman chorus preset. Then a saturator, a very drastic saturator. Let's add an EQ8, focusing on the middles and the middle highs. A vocoder, it is on modulator mode, so basically with this the vocoder modulates itself, so vocodes itself. And a huge reverb, but this plays a really nice role with the drums. Okay, now at the end I added one fill, a bass fill sound that is again very interesting because I made a little twist to it. So this is the fill. And actually this is a loop from my HalfTime Drum and Bass Pack at Loopmasters. You can check the description if you want to check it. And this is how it sounds. And to the end I took this loop and this sound at the end. It's a reverse neuro bass, by the way, but in texture mode I cranked out the transpose to 14 semitones and set the grain size to 108, yeah. And it gave a very nice little texture to it, but without a chorus and the phaser, it sounds a little weird for me. It's too robotic, so this is why I added a chorus and the phaser. Okay, now let's go to the basses themselves. This time the main bass is a massive bass, not a serum bass. On itself it sounds very dumb. So this is why I added an OTT. And then I try to focus a little more on the middle area, on the middle frequencies, but for that first I need to chop a little on the middle basses. I also added some more tops, and with the overdrive I try to add a little more presence to the middle area at around 1.2K. As you can hear, it is very important to tweak a little on the middles, especially with the overdrive. That is a very handy tool for that. And to the end, the saturator, that is again a little drastic here, so on 10 decibels. Okay, now let's see the Massive. Actually, it is very simple, but there is an ingredient that makes it very cool, and that is the unison. So let's go to the voices and kill the unison. But if I added 4 voices of unison, very cool, but for that you need to tweak this little slider, because if you crank down back to 0, and actually what happens here is the same when you take serum, add voices, unison voices, and pull back the random to 0, and then you get a little sweepy kind of sound. And every time you re-trigger this sound, you get a little sweepy kind of thing, and this is what happens here. And with this slider you set the distance between the unison voices, so basically you get a little flangy kind of effect. And this is very good in Serum. I mean in Massive. You can do the same thing in Serum, but I don't know, for me Massive sounds a little better in this section. Okay, now the sound generators are very simple. We have 2 oscillators, oscillator 1 and 3. This is on drone 2. The third one is a simple sine wave. And don't forget to set the warping mode to band -+ on oscillator 1. And the only thing here is some modulation on oscillator 1, a little phase modulation. So basically now we are FMing it. But it doesn't give too much to it. I use a white noise, a feedback that actually creates something interesting here. And with some shaper and the tube distortion, we can bring up those elements that really creates very rusty and very powerful sound. And with the band reject filter, it is a little too harsh. So this is why we had to use a high pass filter and especially a low pass filter to make it like a really good bass sound. And with some EQing and a very slight reverb, everything turns into mayhem. And by the way, the modulators, we are using LFO 5, 6, 7 and 8. And these are very basic LFOs, but the speed between them are the only difference. So this is why, and this is how you can create a little evolution in the sound. Okay, so this was the main bass. And now let's see the FM bass, the plug bass. That is very interesting. And that is an FM8 bass to make your life a lot easier. Okay, without effects. But with effects, now the effects are very simple. I added a slight reverb, some EQ8. With these peaks on the EQ8, the distortions are very thankful. I added trash 2, erosion, frequency shifter and multiband dynamics, but really without these the sound still is very good. But the real magic happens in Serum FX, because without Serum FX, now let's see what happens here. I use this LFO1 on the cutoff to make it plug. I added a distortion and I try to focus on the transient of the sound. Okay, then I added the delay and the hyper dimension and the phaser, but again that is not necessary here at all, so you can turn it off. Okay, after that an EQ8 to chop off the lows and tweak a little on the middles. Okay, another reverb, an EQ8 and a saturator to avoid digital clipping and add some more gain to it. Okay, and the only thing here is I had to use an external instrument device that basically adds some MIDI informations to Serum FX and the sub instrument, and that is simply a heavily saturated sine. Okay, now let's see FM8 itself. It is again very simple. As you can see, I'm using D. It is a second formant on ratio 2 and it is modulating with 63, operator F, and that is a simple sine on ratio 1. D goes out from the synth, and actually this is a little unusual because operator F is going into the filter and I saturated it after I filtered the sound. So how to do that? With this routing. So as you can see, F is going into the filter, it is on bandpass mode with this shape of the envelope, and then I route it back to X, and I also added some noise with some saturation, and then it goes out. So this is what I really love in FM8. I use only one effect sound and overdrive, and in the easy morph tab I try to, I just try to experiment with that and crank up the harmonic knob. This is what I really love in FM8, and also tweaked the amplitude envelope. In master I have 9 voices of unison, and basically this is all. The sound itself is very, very simple, and altogether I think it's very, very cool. Okay, this was it. I hope you learned a lot, and if you want to dig deeper into production, check my academy for very cool masterclasses. I was Larson. See you guys next time. Peace.